Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie, and since Marvel just confirmed Josh Brolin as Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers 2, I wanted to do a breakdown of what that might look like. It's actually a bit of a surprise that they announced Avengers 2 because Ultron is the real villain of that movie. If you're finding me for the first time, I typically do Marvel videos every week. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. I know Guardians is the next movie, but I kind of try to rotate the bonus videos between Avengers and other stuff that's going on. So feel free to leave me suggestions. So let's talk about Thanos first, then Guardians, and then Avengers 2. In case you have no idea who Thanos is, he's currently the biggest villain in the Marvel Universe. You probably saw him during the post-credits scene of the first Avengers movie. He's the one that gave Loki his staff and was controlling the Chitauri. The reason why Marvel hasn't mentioned him in any of the movies, at least by name yet, is just because he's a cosmic villain, and we're just now getting to Guardians of the Galaxy. Think of it as like a Marvel progression of evil. You start out with Loki in Malekith, then you move up to the Collector in Guardians, and finally to the boss of bosses, Thanos. Technically, there are more powerful figures in the comics, like the cosmic entity Death. She's actually part of a lot of the Thanos storylines, but I do not think that Marvel is going to use her in the movie universe. So for now, Thanos is at the top of the food chain. He's the apex predator, just like Godzilla. Based on what Marvel has been saying about him, he'll probably have minor roles in Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers 2. Larger in Guardians, lesser in Avengers 2. Those films have really big casts already, so I'm not expecting Thanos to steal any limelight away from Benicio del Toro or James Spader as Ultron. But because Avengers 3 is supposed to culminate this Infinity Gems, Infinity Gauntlet storyline, they can't wait till 2018 or whenever they release that movie to just roll him out. They have to kind of tease him out as we go along. The story about the very first appearance of Thanos is kind of funny because it ties in with a lot of the changes they're making to Ultron's origin in Avengers 2. So Thanos appeared for the first time in 1973 as part of this, multi-comic book title storyline. The first one was Iron Man number 55 to be specific. Just to explain my Ultron reference, in case you didn't know, Ultron is going to evolve from Stark tech owned by the military and probably some sort of Tesseract energy. Remember, in the wake of S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsing, Tony Stark is going to be privatizing world security. That will just lead to developing AI systems like Jarvis for the military, which is where Ultron's coming from. So it's starting to make sense why they want to use Thanos in Avengers 2. Originally, he would have at least been a post-credit scene, but it sounds like now he's actually going to get like a real scene in the actual movie, or at least at the very end. But let's not get too off track. He's in Guardians of the Galaxy, in a much bigger way. So let's talk about what that's probably going to look like. So we've seen pretty much the entire main cast of Guardians of the Galaxy, minus the big guy, of course. But we don't really know what the actual MacGuffin is. Whether it's one of the Infinity Gems or some other object tied to the Gauntlet, but the story they teased, Ronan and the Accuser Corps attacking a planet and the Guardians trying to save it, that's all surface level story. The gems and the Gauntlet, that's what's hiding underneath. So think about it this way, big army of Accuser Corps attacks a planet, what's the obvious reason for that attack, and what's the secret reason? Who's pulling Ronan the Accuser's strings? Probably the Collector, Benicio del Toro. He seems like a neutral figure, even though he's dressed like Space Liberace. Take it a step further though, who's pulling his strings? Probably Thanos. So rewind all the way back to Thor the Dark World. The Warriors 3 at the end of the movie in that post-credit scene gave the Aether to the Collector. That's basically one of the Infinity Gems. If you're a comic book reader who's totally confused by them substituting that weird red energy for a physical gem, remember the speech Odin gave at the beginning of the Dark World. He was telling the story of the Infinity Gems. He called them relics that predated the creation of the universe. He went on to say that some of them exist in different forms, so like some as stones, as in gems, and some exist like the Aether. That also kind of implies that the Tesseract is one of the gems in a different form. My guess is that in Guardians of the Galaxy, that round artifact Star-Lord is trying to steal is one of the gems. Quick side note too, it hasn't been completely confirmed, but I think that what was powering Loki's staff was the Mind Gem. That's the one that Baron von Strucker was experimenting on at the end of Winter Soldier. That's where Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch's powers are going to come from. Yeah, I know, they're changing a ton of backstories. So what is Thanos going to be doing at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy? Well, either he's going to be collecting the gems from the Collector or just communicating with him about a mission status update. Every time I've seen Thanos in the comics, he's always acted through henchmen and servants. He did punch the shit out of Hulk during Marvel's Infinity event last year, but generally he does not dirty his hands unless one of them is wearing a gem-encrusted glove. That just happens to control all of reality. There was actually this comic book story where he worked with the heroes, so he's actually kind of evolved into this really complex character over time. But I think, in Guardians, in Avengers 2, in Avengers 3, he's just going to be a flat out villain, just a big bad guy. So moving on to Avengers 2, using Thanos in that story is a little bit trickier because Ultron is the main villain. So how do you bring in someone big and cosmic like Thanos without overshadowing him? They're changing a lot of origin stories in the movie to kind of align with this Infinity Gems plot, like Ultron's origins, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and we know a couple things. Loki's staff, be it Tesseract energy or the Mind Gem, however you want to think about it, is specifically where a lot of those origins are going to flow from in the movie itself. Very different from the comic books. Remember, Baron von Strucker talked about us entering the age of miracles, and he was talking about the staff as it applies to, the creation of new powers, new life. So you kind of see where I'm going with this. I think that Ultron is going to evolve from a combination of AI Stark tech like Jarvis interacting with the same type of energy that gave Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch their powers. Hail Hydra. Seriously though, in the wake of Winter Soldier, Hydra is also on the run, just like S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of on the outs. But Baron von Strucker's group is like a Hydra inside of Hydra. They're the ones that are really going to be behind all this stuff. I think he is going to be directly responsible for the creation of Ultron. Like he and Tony Stark are going to accidentally give birth to a deeply disturbed mechanical baby. So since the Mind Gem and the Tesseract are going to be involved, I think that Thanos is just going to show up to collect those things. I don't think he's going to care anything about what's going on between Ultron and the Avengers. They did beat the Chitauri army, but they're basically still flies on his radar at this point. But I'm really interested to see if anything happens during Guardians of the Galaxy or Avengers 2, at least the early part of the plot, to change that. Because it's implied that by Avengers 3, the Avengers will meet Thanos directly in combat. It might end up being space combat, but combat is combat. Now it's your turn though. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about Josh Brolin becoming the voice of Thanos? If James Spader can do an amazing Ultron, I think Josh Brolin can pull it off. And I know I kind of in my head, I thought that, he might make a good Groot, or at least Vin Diesel might make a better Thanos, but in reality, I think that they made the right choice. So because this came along super fast, I'm just moving my Maleficent review to tomorrow morning, and then obviously I'm doing Orphan Black Saturday night, then Fire and Blood all of Sunday. So be sure to subscribe to get everything. Right now you can actually click here to get my breakdown of the last Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, and click here to learn more about Avengers 2. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. High fives.